Hello everybody. At the Aero Expo I talked with a lot of builders and pilots, and I want to thank everybody for some beautiful days at Friedrichshafen, especially the people from UL Power for giving me the opportunity to present my airplane. Also, I want to thank everybody who I talked with. I really learned a lot in the last few days. And the remainder of this video is the interview that Jonathan Porter from Metal Seagulls and I were having at the Aero Expo.
And it's nice and quiet at Friedrichshafen just now, so I'm on the UL Power stand with Marcel, who built this beautiful RV7 behind me.
Thank you.
And he put a UL 520 ISA. I'm going to swing the camera around. And Marcel, can we ask you some questions about your plane?
Sure.
Why did you choose a UL Power engine?
Well, I was considering, while building the RV7, I was considering, okay, what type of engine should I use? And what normally people do is kind of not think about it and just put a Lycoming in there, and that's what most people do. And I thought, well, that's probably a little old technology. Some people jokingly say it's 1955 technology. So I thought, let's see if there's something more modern. And so I was just browsing on the internet, and I found UL Power. I also found some other things, also even like car conversion stuff. And I thought, car conversions, maybe that's a little bit too modern, and maybe that's a little bit too unconventional. So I decided let's look at UL Power. And I also considered, by the way, diesel engines and other stuff. And after some careful consideration, I found that the UL Power actually it's kind of just a little bit better on all points, right? So it's not just like twice as good as something else. That's not the case, but it's a little bit better on performance. It's a little bit better on fuel efficiency. It's a little bit better in price. On all parts together, it sounded to me like, okay, this is the perfect match for me.
Okay, now we always say that UL Power is really, really easy to install. How did you find the installation?
Well, that was indeed actually easy. I'm not sure how it is on other, because it's my first plane, so I didn't build any other plane, so I cannot really compare it. However, I'm a software guy. I'm not a mechanical engineer or something like that, so I'm not, let's say, used to working on cars and stuff like that. And I think it took me about actually 1 day to hang the engine. Of course, then it starts to connect, but there is a pre-built wire loom.
Okay.
To the ACU. And that's really easy, right? You just make a hole through the firewall, you put it in there, and it's done. So it actually, the installation was quite easy. It was actually funny because there is an adapter in there.
Can we pull the cowling off?
Yeah, sure, we can.
Do you need a hand or?
Easy. Yeah.
Okay. For those who aren't familiar, this is the RV7, which is an American kit plane. And you made the cowling yourself, I believe.
Well, not entirely. So, because of the weight of the engine is so much lighter than the Lycoming,
right?
You have to do something about the engine. It should be more forward.
Yes.
To get the CG correct. So I figured that it needed to shift it about 20 centimeters forward.
Okay.
And I asked UL Power, can you do something about it?
Yeah.
You can see here, and here is the adapter part. This was not made by me. Again, I'm not a mechanical engineer, so this was made by UL Power in the United States. Because at that time there wasn't another solution. So this is a normal Vance dynafocal engine mount with an adapter in there. I saw here actually, I didn't know that, but I saw here actually that UL Power now provides a standard engine mount for the RVs.
They have some for the RV7, the RV8. They're working on the RV12.
That would have shaved off some time for me.
Yes.
So that pity they didn't have it when I was building. And the cowl was also built by the UL Power guys in the United States, because they convert older RV7s with Lycoming engines which are TBO, and then they take off the Lycoming engine and put a UL Power in there. So they have some experience, and you get several parts, and then you still have to actually do some work to get it nice, let's put it that way. But yeah, I was very happy with it.
Right, so this is the 6-cylinder. How many horsepower do you have?
I have 200 horsepower, which is actually, I think, almost too much for an RV7, because I'm not, let's say, I'm not an extreme experienced pilot, and already I have, if I do a takeoff, it's so fast in the air that I have to actually not give full power, because if I give full power, I go off in 3-point before I can even lift the tail. Yeah, that's really ridiculous. Well, so I have to be careful a little bit there.
I have to say that the rule is there is no such thing as too much horsepower.
Well,
you can always limit the amount you put in.
That's true.
And then as you climb in altitude, of course, because this is a naturally aspirated engine, you've got some power in reserve.
Yes.
And if you've got to get off a short strip, I mean,
that's ideal.
The extra oomph could be your saving grace.
Definitely.
Plus, you've got a electric variable pitch prop at the front, which, of course, that enables you to load the engine accordingly.
Yeah, sometimes, but I'm experimenting with it, because this plane is now 10 hours, so it's quite new. And I'm considering on not putting it on the takeoff pitch, but actually on the climb pitch, which reduces it about to maybe 80% or something like that. And then it looks good. Yeah. But in the Netherlands, we learn always to give full throttle during takeoff. They say if you don't do that, you will forget it once or not do it enough, and then you will be in trouble.
Well, just remember that on the airlines, they calculate how much power they need to take off, and they don't always use. And I think what you've got here, you've got a FADEC engine where you just have this one command point, just this throttle body command point here. There's no mixture, there's no carburetors, there's no carb heat, there's no carb ice. And what you've got now is your workload is reduced because you've just got that one lever, and basically you've got the opportunity. And you know, as you said, you've got about 10 hours on here. And how many hours total flying do you have?
Myself?
Yes.
I'm only a 90-hour pilot.
Wow. I have to say, for a 90-hour pilot to have built his own plane, and you're doing great. I promise you, as you get past about 500 hours, you will say, I'm glad I've got the extra horses. As you gain that confidence, or if you're taking off at altitude, you know, on an altiport in France, having horsepower is always a plus. Now, how easy does this engine start? Because that's something we always hear people, they've got their Lycomings, their Continentals and other engines where they don't have FADEC, and they're priming and they're puffing and puffing and boom, 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 boom. How easy does this engine start?
Well, what I do is, because it's an experimental, I have to make my own startup checklist.
Yes.
So I was figuring out how to do this. I looked a little bit at the UL Power manuals and a lot of things. And what I do is I just switch on of course the master, then I switch on the fuel pump. I have 2 fuel pumps in there, just to be sure. During startup, I only use one.
Yes.
But during takeoff and landing, I use both. And what I do is and one fuel pump is controlled by the ECU. So if I switch it on, nothing happens. Then I switch on the ECU, and then the ECU starts priming the engine. So you heard it. You heard the engine, the pump. You hear it for about 10, maybe 15 seconds, and then there's enough pressure for the injected engine to start. And I just push the start button, and then it starts.
But do you have to hold it and go, or do you just press and it goes vroom?
It's almost like my car. It's
really?
I just press it, and maybe 2 seconds max, and then it runs.
The actual map is designed that the propeller turns once or twice, depending on where your start point is,
I didn't know that.
without firing the engine, to get its position and to get everything moving, and then it puts the firing signal in.
I didn't know that.
The engine itself is actually mapped from minus 25 Celsius to plus 50 Celsius for starting. And it has projection software if it's colder or hotter. Now, I wouldn't start an engine at minus 25 without preheating the oil. But what you will find is that no matter what the weather, it is that easy to start. And it's something which, when we first started dealing with UL power engines, we noticed everybody who had one, they were the envy of the airfield on a cold winter's day. Everybody else was out there, and the UL power guy was, brum.
That's nice.
And as you move on now with these experiences, you'll gain that. Now, is the RV7 an aerobatic aircraft?
Yes, this is full aerobatic product. That's +6 and I think -4 G's capable.
So you're going to be adding an aerobatic rating.
In due time. As I said, I only have 90 hours, so that's probably not the time to start messing with aerobatics. But in the time, and that's why I put an ISA in there, right? So this is a full aerobatic inverted engine. And so that's why I did that, because in the end I want to really learn aerobatics, because I think that's really nice to do.
Now, I see you've not finished installing your aerobatic system here.
Yeah, I got some feedback from the guys from UL Power. That's actually funny. So I built it and I thought I did it correct. But actually yesterday a guy from UL Power who does the Portugal Spain region, he said you've got it on the wrong side of the firewall. It should be on the right side. Oh man, I have to change that. So, but you learn again, right? So that's good.
I think since you installed this, there's the new installation manual, which is the interactive manual online now. And everybody's working to make that installation easier. Have you seen the new maintenance manuals where they even show you which direction to turn?
That would be nice, because when I installed it, there were some drawings, and apparently it was in the manual that it should be on the right side and not on the left. I was considering it, and actually when I was building, I thought, oh, do I do the coils on the left or the... And I just made a decision. Apparently I should have checked the manual better. But if I would have a picture just of this setup, for instance, with the correct setup, obviously, then that would be a kind of a sign, right? And now I was just wondering, and apparently I should have read the manual better. But okay.
I don't know how it works in Holland. You don't actually have a dealer for UL Power there, do you?
No, I don't think so. No, I because Belgium is really close.
Right.
I directly went to Belgium because that's the main dealer. So.
And do you have inspections during build?
Definitely. Yes, definitely.
So I'm going to blame your inspector.
But he doesn't know that part.
There we go. But yeah, I think we're all learning, and one wonderful thing is that we are a community in UL Power, and I hope that you felt that in buying the engine, you actually became part of a family.
Well, I did, because in the beginning I had some issues with compression, and then you can really call Patrick even in Belgium, and he helps you, right? And he's even another guy in the same hangar also has UL Power on a Cherry, a little smaller UL Power engine, and he had some issues with the propeller and the connection to it. And even on Sunday they come to you, right? So they just traveled from Belgium on Sunday.
The managing director.
The managing director with an engineer from Belgium all the way to Teugen in the Netherlands. And I found that astounding, because that's not something that you'll probably get from any company, I think.
No, I have to say, we're the dealers for the UK, Ireland, Iceland, and handle most of Africa. And if on a Sunday I have a question from a customer, because that's when they're flying, and I send that question through, I will usually get the answer within 2 hours any day of the week. Not always, but usually.
Yeah.
And I do not know any other company that treats its customers as proper recreational pilots.
Yeah.
And recreational pilots are flying on holidays. And what I'm going to do this Christmas, don't tell them, is on Christmas Day I'm going to send a tech report through and see how they respond. And I'm certain I will get a response.
Oh, that's horrible.
With a happy Christmas. Yeah. Maybe we should all... No, don't do that.
No. That's horrible.
But I mean, that's the reality of having an engine from a company who understands home builders, who is not just out chasing the mass-produced engines.
Yeah.
And I think that this is a real good experience. Now, I look around your engine compartment and it's clean. I mean, normally when we look around engines, we see oil drips and everything else, but this is a really clean install. Is that because you keep wiping the oil off, or is it a nice clean engine?
No, actually, my first flight, the test flight with, I took again, I'm a very low hour pilot, so I thought, let's not do the test flight myself, right? That would be kind of irresponsible. So I took a retired Dutch Air Force flyer, who also actually flew RV7 a lot, tailwheel. And he said, and he flew of course with Lycoming, because that's what they all do. And he said, okay, we're going to fly for 15 minutes, and then we're going to land immediately. So just a few rounds around the pattern, and then we land. And we're going to check for leaks, because it will leak. And so what we did, we put up the cowls, and then he said, oh, no leaks. Okay. You're actually a very good engineer. And I said, no, man, I'm just a software engineer, right? I'm not a mechanical engineer. Yeah. So that was fun. And so we could put the cowls again, and then we just flew for another 30 minutes. And what I found very funny is that he's a very experienced pilot, of course. And he said, we have to do some rolls, right? I mean, it's an RV7. We have to do some rolls. I said, well, this is the second flight, right? I'm flying for less than 40 minutes in it. But we did some rolls, and it was really great. And he said, oh, works good. We tried the VNE, so we dived down to 188 knots, no problem with it. So yeah, it was really nice.
Lovely.
Yeah, a lot of nice thoughts for the flight.
I have to say that when an engine comes into us, 9 times out of 10 they're absolutely impeccable, and the owners are just like, no, it's just the way they are.
Yeah.
And it's really nice that you've got the confidence to fly from Holland here to Friedrichshafen and to put your plane under the eye of every critic that visits, and everybody's an expert. And so I think on behalf of UL Power, and certainly on behalf of all of us in the UK, thank you for bringing your RV. Thank you for sharing your experiences. And if I have people in the UK who want to know more, can we put them in touch with you?
Sure, yeah, no problem. Yeah.
Fabulous. So those of you who are building an RV, RV7, RV8, we had the LAA here on the stand yesterday talking to them about the larger UL Power engines, which are our 350 and our 520 series, are ASTM certified now, and we're also ISO 9000 company, which I believe will make it much easier now to get the UL Power into your RV. And those of you who watched earlier, we also now have got a wonderful new range of propellers available in the UK for direct drive engines, coming along all the way up to 300 horsepower, which means it covers all of the UL Power range. So once again, Marcel, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Everybody watching, have a lovely Saturday. I'll be driving home to Blighty later today. Take care, and thank you again, Marcel.